What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about these stories going around on Dragon Ball Sparking Zero player numbers. Now, I am a fan of talking about player numbers in general. It's something that I do, when we talk about kind of sales and those kind of videos. And one thing I will say when it comes to this stuff, I do hate this stuff, I think, just in general. Like the player drop stuff and like, oh, the sky's falling, why is this kind of thing happening? Now, look, some games, if they fall off a freaking cliff, right, in terms of player count, and I guess it also depends on like when the game came out, right, versus when people are dropping out, it can mean a whole lot more than other times, okay? Like I'm not here to tell you people dropping out of a game means nothing all of the time. For something like this, it's like, well, I don't really, like, I guess some of it is surprising with Dragon Ball, like there is an angle I want to talk about, in this video, but most of it is like, I don't know, I'm not really all that concerned. It sold extremely well. Honestly, I feel like it's going to have decent legs. I still stand by a lot of the stuff I talked about leading into this game, where I think it's actually going to go down as one of the highest anime fighters of all time. I think Naruto, maybe 3 or 4, something like that, holds the record. It's got to get, 10, 12, 14 million units to put itself in that, contention. But I really think like long legs, and I think it's just a game that people are going to get long term. However, okay, all that stuff being said, I think that's true. I think the game, well, the number we heard already was like 3 million within what, I don't remember if it was 24 hours or the first couple days. I mean, I'm sure this game has probably done four-ish, maybe 4 or 5 million units, which I would imagine is extremely good. I don't think they're sweating it that much, and that's the positive, right? I think positively, the game's been doing really well, sold really well, at least initially, and even if it drops like majorly in sales, it'll still have like decently long legs. However, the story that kind of came around, I believe like on the weekend, maybe like Friday night, people are looking for the news. So the headline going around is 90% player drop, right? Now, actually, funny enough, Game Rant did one that says, why Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's 90% player count drop isn't a reason to panic just yet. So they get that, they get that headline in there, but they actually take a positive spin on it, which is nice to see. But honestly, I kind of agree with that title. I think, again, like, losing 90% of your player base is not something that you like to see on headlines, right? It's not something that you like to see out there. However, okay, ultimately, I look at this game not as this long-term multiplayer fighting game. Now, I don't know if that's like the expectation, if that's the right expectation, but at least in my mind, my own just opinion of this game going in was, okay, this is going to be a game that I play, I kind of go in and out of. Like, there's so many freaking characters, and I want to see them all. I want to play as them all. I'm going to play other people's like story arcs, right? And I think those are, again, some of the better elements of the entire game, specifically the custom, the custom-made stuff I think people are able to do. However, when it comes to the multiplayer stuff, well, from my perspective, I knew I was going to be pretty bad, so I never really expected to even play the multiplayer all that much. Now, I played it, the first couple weeks the game was out, and I actually did like pretty okay. I wasn't winning all the time, but I was like holding my ground, and I wasn't losing every time, which is different than the Mortal Kombats of the world and Street Fighters, where I can't win a match. I couldn't bribe the game to win me a match, right? So, I mean, like, that's just my perspective. Again, it could be different from what other people are experiencing, but I don't know, like, for me, this was the game that was supposed to kind of bring back the Tenkaichi vibe. And I mean, like, you could argue in terms of that longevity, right, and being able to play it, you could argue like if it did that like fully, but I think it brought it back to like, this does feel like Tenkaichi. This is it's a game that you can play cooperatively, you can play against other people. Now, again, like, it's not perfect, right? Specifically, like, limiting you to, I believe, like the one map, right, in terms of co-op kind of stuff. And I don't know, it is weak in that element of really trying to like embrace the early 2000s, let's say. But if you're looking at it as another way of experiencing the story, I kept saying over and over again, the visuals and how good this game freaking looks and how fast it moves, right? Just kind of the pacing of it. This is what I thought those games looked like back in the day. When I was playing them as a 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old against my cousin, this is what I was seeing, in my head. I was seeing these huge explosions, and, now replaying them as I did, it's like, oh yeah, they're actually very good. I think they still hold up, but they do not, they don't look like I thought they did, right? So I think in a lot of ways this captures that vibe. And I guess, what's my point? Well, I think a game like this doesn't need all of these people playing it, right? I don't want to give like necessarily another review of this game. I think, to the 90% player drop, you don't want to lose 90%. And I think a game that's always online, right? Live service. those games cannot lose 90% of people in a month. But ultimately, it's been a month. It's the busiest season in all of gaming, right? Like normally fall is very busy. You got multiple games coming out. You got the holiday season. You just got a lot going on, okay? You got like 12, 15 different, types of games you could like pick between from August to like December, right? So to me, that's just like, I don't know, like that's the honest truth. Like this I don't think this was a game that you were expecting to keep everybody. Now I will say 90%, like that is quite a bit. However, couple like caveats. Number one, it's only on Steam. That you can only see Steam numbers. Now, we don't even know the Steam sales versus like the console sales, so we don't know which one beat the other. And then you really don't know the like the longevity of players outside of Steam. I really love the Steam charts because you really can't track it so well. But you don't like PlayStation. What if it's a 40% drop? What if it's a 60% drop? What if Xbox it's a 30% or a 70%? Right? Like you don't know those kind of things. And arguably, because you don't know this either, those could be more numbers, right? There could be more people playing on consoles than PC, and the numbers might not actually be as bad there. So you're just kind of basing it off one metric. And that's, again, like a general reason why I don't like the percentage stuff, because it's like you just don't know the full story. At the end of the day, it could be doing better. It could actually technically be doing worse. You don't know that for sure either. But again, that's kind of why I circle back to the more positive, like beginning part, where I think the game did extremely well in the beginning. And like, maybe this is a sign that it won't have long legs. Like that's definitely possible. It's something we don't actually know, but it's something you can speculate about, right? But we don't know for sure, right? So I'm going to be fascinated to see like when do they come out and say, hey, it reached 7 million, it reached 8, because I still think this game will get 6, 7, 8, 9 million. I think it could do it like within the next year or two. Like I really think the game can get close even to that like 10 million mark. It's just like a matter of when. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure as always you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.